Imagine yourself dying. You're in a hospital room, you're in a critical care room, you're in a hospice room. The drugs are gone. They were feeding you pills 4 times an hour forever, and meanwhile they had drugs going into you by the IV bag, antibiotics, and all of the other crap that they pump you full of to try to keep you alive, but all that's over. You're dying. All that's gone. Thank goodness. What you got left is a little bit of morphine to numb the worst of the pain, and beyond that, you're living on oxygen and a sucrose strip. You're not circling the drain, you're in the drain. Clinging by your fingertips to the very top of the drain, and soon you will be gone. So how are things with you right in this moment, as you have nothing really left of your life but your mind? Your body is ravaged and finished, but your mind is still alert, you think. What's going through it? What is it that you're remembering about your life that you're revisiting now with delight and pleasure? What is it that you're recalling about your life that you are looking upon in horror and doing everything you can not to revisit in your memories? Can you remember your favorite teachers? I can. June Mall I had for 9th grade biology, she said, "Be specific." Audre Lorde taught me poetry. She said, "Be particular." Mary Schluter doubled my riches. She said, "Semper ubi sub ubi." And if you don't get that joke, it's because you got no education. Are you remembering your teachers? Are you remembering the events of your life? Are you remembering the things that matter to you? Are you focused on your values? Are you focused on your disvalues? If you're lucky, you're asleep most of the time. This is the way most of us make our exit from this world. But while you're awake, while you are aware, what is it that you're aware of? Who's there in the room with you? Your high school sweetheart? You went to college in the same town, 2 different schools, but in the same town so that you could have time together. You've been married since you were age 23. Is she there with you? Well, no, she's not there with you because you didn't marry when you were 23. You didn't marry until you were 35. The woman that you married wasn't your high school sweetheart. She wasn't the precious rose that you plucked before anyone else could have her. No, instead she was an experienced woman also by the time that you married, and she didn't have too much respect for you, and you didn't have too much respect for her, and it kind of showed. And you were a player practically before she was born. And you were a player for all those years until you finally got married at 35. And you never really stopped being a player. So every once in a while, you cheat on her, you cheated on her, and you made a point of rubbing shit on her forehead. You made a point of letting her know and letting all of her friends know and letting everybody who knew you know. Not know explicitly, not even know to the point of gossip maybe, but if they couldn't see the shit on her forehead, they could sure see it on your thumb. And you never really respected her for anything that she could or did do, and you never had any respect for her mind. And whenever she made a simple, casual error, you made a great big deal about it. You're always happy to ridicule her lack of appreciation for your avocations and interests, either directly to her face or worse, in public, in front of her friends, in front of her family. It wasn't always like that, and sometimes it was really good, and as the years went by, it got better and better. Kind of a cool marriage from your point of view. It really kind of worked out. Even despite everything you did to screw it up, it really seemed to get better and better until your youngest kid graduated from college, and the next day you were served with divorce papers. Because she did what she promised to do, and she didn't do it one day longer. And you haven't spent 10 hours with her since then. And that youngest kid, I mean, every kid, whenever there's a divorce, whether you're 3 or 30, every kid thinks it's his fault. And that youngest son of yours, he thought it was his fault. And he kind of tried to pick up the slack in your life. And in consequence, he's never really made much of himself. He's always been kind of a moon in your orbit. And you kind of use him now. Your older kids are doing better. You don't see much of them, but they seem to be doing okay. They're leading lives very much like the life you led. So your older son has a divorce in his future, and you can see it, and you can't even tell him how to avoid it. Your older daughter reminds you a lot of your wife when she was that age. But your son is there in the room with you, so you do have company. You're not all alone as you die. But is that really what you were aiming for? When you were 23 and you were thinking about where does my life go from here? What is the trajectory I will set for my life? When you were thinking along those lines, were you thinking that someday you would be all but all alone in a darkened hospital room, counting down the clock on your life, watching it tick, 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 tick away, and really having nothing to show for it? Nothing to show for your time on this earth. Is that what you wanted? Is that what you were aiming for? Is that the victory condition? Is this something to celebrate? Should we all say, oh my, that life was a work of art. I'm 23 and I'm looking to set my own course for the span of my lifetime, and I'm going to use that as my example. This is the example I will emulate. Haphazard journey toward a too-late marriage with a family that was kind of rushed through like a microwave dinner. A marriage that was never really a marriage and that fell apart as soon as it could. As soon as it absolutely could, it fell apart. Two kids who couldn't give a shit if you live or die, and one was more or less addicted to you. Is that what you wanted? Is that what you were aiming for? Is there anything in the way you're leading your life right now that will lead you to any other place? Welcome to the Church of Splendor. My name is Greg Swann. I am your televangelist. I apologize for starting with such a horrifying scenario, but I think I may have your attention. The theme for our service today is the best a man can get. The best a man can get. This is an advertising slogan from Gillette, the people who make razors. Gillette was the guy who invented the marketing paradigm of sell the blades. Give the razors away for free and sell the blades. Gillette now puts like 92 different razor blades on every one of their razors. I don't know how many it is. The best a man can get, I think they were at like 3 blades when they started this. This is 1985 or so, a long time ago. It was like 3 blades then. I think it's 5 or 6 now. I don't know. Eventually there will be more blades than face. You will have, you know, you just kind of look at the razor and your beard will disappear. But it's a wonderful advertising slogan because it means so many things. It means so many different things. The best a man can get means what? It means the best a man can obtain. If you are looking for the best razor, the best razor blades, this is the best a man can get. It's also the best shave a man can get. The best shave a man can get. The best a man can get. But it also implies the best a man can be. That I got better at spelling. Now I'm the best a man can get. Best you can obtain, the best shave, the best you can be. What's the other thing that it means? It means the best woman you can get. She's the best a man can get. I have that woman. Stop looking for her. I have her. She's mine. What else could the best a man can get mean? How about the best possible life that you could have, the best life that you could lead, that you could be in that hospice room dying and have nothing to regret and nothing to fear and nothing to doubt and no sorrows to atone for and no people to apologize to. Really nothing but the serene satisfaction of knowing that you did everything that you could have and should have done. You left nothing that matters undone. And therefore you can make your peace with life and slip away peacefully into death. You're going to die either way. The question is, what's it going to be like before you get there? How are you going to live? And if you live deliberately, if you live according to avid, relentless pursuit of your values in their appropriate hierarchy, that's where you'll be when you die. I mean, you may be surrounded by your loved ones, or you may literally be all alone. You literally could be all alone on some desert island. You could be... Everyone you know could already be dead, and you could be living alone in some awful little box of an apartment somewhere. Even so, if you lived in the avid pursuit of your values, you will have the happiest possible death. I can't promise you a happy death because there's nothing happy about death. All your chances are done. Every chance you have of making things better is over. That's what it means. Whatever else it means that your opportunities to play this game, to live this life, to be alive here and now in this, the only existence you've ever known, those opportunities are gone or almost gone. And when they're gone, will you be missing any? Are there any that you will be saying, I wish I had done this, or I wish I hadn't done that? If it's possible that that could happen, I have the solution. Don't be that person. Don't live that life. Live the other life instead. Choose to do the things that you know will leave you feeling admiration, not just now, but for the rest of your life, up to and including the moment of your death. And don't do the things that will leave you feeling regret now in your memories and when you're dying. Don't do those things. Do the things that should be done. Don't do the things that shouldn't be done. I talk all the time about the hierarchy of values, and I've noticed lately that I keep running through little lists in my mind. And your hierarchy of values is yours, and I can't tell you what it is. I can't tell you what to put on it, but what I can tell you is that it will change over time. It will be different over time. The first thing on your hierarchy of values, the first item is yourself, the idea of your life that you have self-abstracted. You've been working on it since you were an infant, since you were a toddler. You've been actively working on it. It's been an existing project in your mind since you were a toddler. You attained conceptual fluency and you became aware of this idea, and you've been working on it ever since. This is absolutely the most important value in your life because it's the thing that you think about far and away the most. Far and away. It's 90% of your thoughts, at least, and maybe more, are in one way or another thoughts that are directly about yourself. Yourself is the cardinal value of your life. I would argue that loving yourself is the cardinal virtue of your life, but we can quarrel about that because virtue is teleology, and we can always quarrel about teleology, but value is ontology. That this cat coming up behind me right here is a carnivore, and even though at least half of what she eats consists of grain, she would not choose to eat grain, and she would never prefer to eat grain in the wild. She would eat fresh meat and only fresh meat. So she snuck me a cuter, and she didn't come. This is the nature of that cat, and you have a nature. You are an organism. You are a living thing, and as a living thing, you do have a definite nature. And the nature of your nature as a human being is that you are a self first before everything. You are a self as a human being. Your life as a human being consists of being that self, and everything else about you, your body, your hair, your wardrobe, your job, your friends, all of the extensions of yourself are nothing but extensions of yourself. Without this idea, none of the rest of those things matter. I mean, some of them would still exist, some of them wouldn't. Your career wouldn't exist, obviously, without that idea in here. Even if your body did exist, without that idea, none of the things that we associate with a human life would happen in your life. You would be a genetic Homo sapiens, living, existing, living a life very much akin to an animal's life. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are thousands, perhaps millions of people, not people, genetic Homo sapiens, living that kind of existence today, and their lives don't become meaningless or valueless just because they can't live the human life. But the human life occurs in here, it occurs in the thinking brain, this big brain up here up front, and if that brain either is not or cannot be cultivated, there will be no human life. There will be none of the things that we associate with the human life, but in particular there will be no conceptualization and no choices based on conceptualization, no informed discretion, no free will. Animals are willful, all organisms are willful in one way or another, but free will implies a conceptual understanding of all of the alternatives. To be free, the will must be free to understand all of the alternatives, all the choices, all the consequences of all the choices. We have this and other organisms don't, and free will is why you have a hierarchy of values. It's the reason that you have a hierarchy of values. Every organism has its own hierarchy of values. You're the only one who knows you have one, and you're the only one who can reshuffle the order of the items on that hierarchy. Interestingly, you're the only kind of organism that can invert that hierarchy of values and put the least important thing first and the most important thing last. And how do you end up dying all alone in a hospice room with nothing but regrets? Invert your hierarchy of values. Put the least important things first and the most important things last. That's all you have to do. When you're smearing shit on your wife's forehead to let the world know that you're cheating on her, where is she in your values? Where is she in your hierarchy of values if you would do that to her? If you would cheat on her in the first place, but if you would shame her about it, where is she in your hierarchy of values? And how do you know what you really value and what you don't value? Watch what you do. What you do will tell you everything there is to know about you. And I know this because I watch what you do all the time. I watch what everybody does, but I really watch what I do. in order to know what my values are. And I keep making these lists of values: yourself, your spouse, your children, your parents, brothers and sisters, your home. I'm now getting to your career. How far down was I? Yourself, your spouse, your children, your parents, your family, extended family. And I get to number 6, your home. Number 6 is your home. Number 7, your career. Is your career number 2 right now? It might be. If you're young, you're in your mid-20s, your career probably should be your second highest value. My spouse, my wife, is my second highest value. And really, the competition for third place is well distant. Because she's so much mine, and she's so much everything that I am, and so much everything that I need. She's second. In your 20s, it might be your career. If it's the party life, I feel bad for you. You're going to die alone. But by the time you're ready to settle down, at that point, it's going to become your spouse and your children. They're going to be second and third on your hierarchy of values. And if they're not, I think you're making a mistake. I mean, it's not my place to tell people what to do. It's not my place to should people. But if you are in your 20s, if you are, or your teens, if you are young and you are thinking about the trajectory of your life, go ahead and think all the way through to the end. Think of that hospice room, and what do you want to be in that hospice room when you're there dying, and what do you want to be thinking about? What do you want your memories to be composed of? And what expressions of your lifelong values do you expect to see around you? Because if you swear to the world that sex and love are two different things, and that you can go hustle innocent people into having completely uncommitted, unloving, even maybe unliking sex with you, if you can just pile up notches on your belt one after the other, cutting a new notch every day or whatever. I don't know if anybody actually does this, but if that's the life that you're leading, you're not going to marry at 35, and if you do marry at 35, you're going to divorce at 39. And if you don't divorce at 39, you're going to divorce at 59 when the last kid is gone. If you anticipate on your deathbed being surrounded by a loving family, by a wife or a spouse who loves you, a wife or a husband who loves you, children who love you, grandchildren who love you, friends who admire you and are going to miss you, and who just keep stopping by, who stop by every day after work just in case this is the last chance they have. If you want all of that, your values now have to reflect that. And if your values now reflect a party life or a indifferent life, if you're hostile to the people around you, if you behave toward them in a hateful or abusive way, or if you just ignore or neglect them, if you don't care about them, if you don't follow through on those things, no matter what you say about where marriage and family fit into your hierarchy of values, if you don't follow through in your actions, it will show in the end. There will be no hiding it when you're in that hospice room. So my advice, I mean to everyone, but especially to young people, my advice is to think about that hierarchy of values. Think about what values you want to live by for your whole life. And in what way are you honoring those values now? In what way are you living up to them? And in what ways are you putting other values ahead of the things you say are more important to you, or even disvalues? In what way are you devoting your time and attention to disvalues and ignoring your values entirely? But it's by honoring that hierarchy of values that you will get to that place at the end of your life where you're able to say, I did everything that I could have and should have done, and I did nothing that I should not have done. I have nothing to be ashamed of and everything to be proud of. I won't say that I'm dying gladly, but I'm not dying sadly. to do that, you have to live deliberately. You have to have a plan. You have to. Your plan doesn't have to be detailed, and I promise you, no matter how detailed it is, things will change. Things will be different. But you have to live deliberately. You have to know what your values are, and you have to know how you honor them and how you dishonor them. And you have to make sure you honor them, and you never besmirch them. You never smudge them. You never soil them. I say a lot of things. I have a lot of little bumper stickers in my repertoire because I like to say things memorably, and the way to say things memorably is to say them briefly. One of my favorites, and this goes back 35 years anyway, this has been with me a long, long time. Be who you are. Do what you want. Have what you love. Be who you are. Do what you want. Have what you love. Be who you are is really the hardest one of the bunch there. It's the hardest because there's so much pressure on you all the time to pretend to hold views you don't hold, to take positions you don't take, to gang up on people that you have no reason, no quarrel with, to portray a person that you're not. Instead of just being authentic, being who you are, doing exactly what you choose to do and nothing else. And be who you are, do what you want, whatever it is that you want to do it. I don't tell people what to do, I don't should people, but I should people to this extent. If there's something that you could and should be doing that you're desperate to do, that you want done, that you can't stand is not being done, get it done. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. If it's spare time, if it's only a few hours a week, if it's only a little bit of time, if it takes years to get it done, I don't care. Get it done. Just do it. Whatever it is that you want, do that. Do that. Don't do what you don't want to do, but that's not enough. Do what you do want to do. Be who you are. Do what you want. Have what you love. And literally, this is an algorithm. It's a procedure. You cannot have what you love if you don't do what you want. And you cannot do what you want if you're not free to be who you are. You do this step by step. Step 1, be who you are. Step 2, do what you want. Step 3, you will have what you love. Because you've acted for your own love. You've acted for your own values. You've acted from the inside out. You've chosen in here what really matters. And you've pursued that relentlessly. And whether you got it or not. Nevertheless, you have what you love, because what you really love is having the integrity here, having this in here, having yourself, your life, the way you want it. I think you should live your life as a work of art. And I don't mean for other people to admire, but for you to admire, that every thing on that painting that you make throughout your life, from the time that you're 4 or 5 years old and you're able to pick up the brush and start blocking in the outlines of your life, all the way through to the very end when you're in that hospice room. I think you should make your life a work of art, and everything in it should be there because it's perfect, because it's exactly what you want, and there should be nothing in there that you don't want. And I will allow you one smudge on the work of art that is your life, one ragged, jagged smear of paint on the painting of your life. And that's the brush stroke you made when you died, because you were holding the brush until the very end. This is a church. And every Sunday we pass the offering plate. If you go to selfadoration.com and look for a link called I Don't Go to Your Church, you'll find PayPal links that you can use to give money to this church, and I would really welcome it. You can volunteer your time and efforts, and boy, do I need them, and we can make good use of them. I really need a space to hold a church in, and there's discussion at selfadoration.com of what it is that I'm looking for. There are other movies when I talk about it. I don't want to bore you with a lot of details. If you want to follow through, you will, and I encourage it because it'll make you better. It will make you better. Just the act of following through one way or another will make you better. But if you are a young people who's been watching these movies, or the movies that I'm making for Anthony Johnson on Love, Sex, Marriage, and Family, if you've been watching these movies and you're profiting by them, pay up. I'm delivering the goods. I know I'm delivering the goods. Whether you're watching this on the Sunday that I made it, or 2 years later, or 10 years later, whatever, I know I'm delivering the goods to you. Deliver the goods to me. If you're too young and you don't have any money, tell your parents how much better your life is, and it's because of me, and send me a check. And if your parents can't do it, find somebody else. Get somebody to support this ministry. Find me someone who will fund this ministry, because the help that I'm giving you, I could give to 7 billion people, and I want to. I want to build an organization that can carry this message to every living human being, every human being living now and from now on. April 8th, 2012 is when I published the book Man Alive, and you didn't know it. I was the only one who knew it then, and maybe I'm the only one who knows it still, but that was the very first day of the Age of Splendor. We entered a new philosophical epoch on that day. And the change that you're feeling in your life is a result of the change that occurred on that day. We introduced a brand new moral philosophy, and you are learning it and practicing it. And in learning it and practicing it, you're doing better with your life, which is my intent. I mean, that's why I'm making this effort, why I'm hectoring you like this, day after day, week after week, staring into your eyes, relentlessly challenging you to disagree with me. Or better yet, embrace what I'm saying and make it even better than I can make it. Be smarter than me, because you are smarter than me. So show me, prove it. Prove it in your actions, and prove it in your efforts, prove it in your contributions, prove it in your life. I wouldn't hate to be one of those teachers that you mention on your deathbed. I'll never know about it, and whether it happens or not, I'll never know about it, and chances are I'll be dead before it happens, so there's no way I'll know about it, but I wouldn't hate to be one of those teachers. I would really enjoy that, to be that kind of a good influence on your life, that I cross your mind when your mind is about to cross over into its past and future mineral existence. But follow through. Whatever it is, follow through. I mean, I'd love it if you'd follow through by helping, by offering space, by contributing. But whatever you do, follow through in your own life. Follow through on the things that I'm telling you, because number one, I'm right, and your life will be better. But number two, if you don't, I'll be in your head forever. And I'll be there on your deathbed, not as a happy memory, but as a painful regret, and I don't want that. I don't want to be. If I can be a happy memory for you, I'd love it, but I don't want to be a painful regret. So follow through. Follow through. My mother-in-law, Loma Collins, is dying right now. She's on her deathbed. She's in the hospice. Her IV lines are gone. Her antibiotics are gone. Her tablets and capsules, all the pill-based drugs that they've given her for decades, but the last 7 years anyway, all of that's gone, and she's living on sucrose and oxygen. This will not last. I love her. I love her like crazy. She's been nothing but good to me. The entire time I've known her, I tease her like a little girl I always have. I love to pull her pigtails. I love to pull my wife's pigtails. But Aloma has always been very fun for me to tease. And I was teasing her yesterday. I'll tease her again today. But she is surrounded by her loved ones. Everyone that Aloma loved is there with her to love her now. She lived her hierarchy of values relentlessly, deliberately, purposively. But she always lived it. She always followed through, and the follow-through is right there. The countervailing effort is there because she made an effort to live up to her values. And this is what you have to do. I won't penalize you if you don't. I won't yell at you about it. I won't should you in any way at all. But I will tell you that if you do not set your life on a value-seeking trajectory when you are young, if you move helter-skelter, if you deliberately pursue disvalues, if you deliberately pursue evil, all of that stuff will come back to bite you on the ass. You will not have a happy death as the consequence of an unhappy life. But if you pursue your happiness, if you pursue your goals, if you pursue your values, if you pursue virtue, if you choose admirably in every choice that you make through the course of your life, then when you get to that hospice room, gladly did I live and gladly die. And I lay me down with a will. I lay me down with a will. What's the best a man can get? What's the best a man can get? What's the best a woman can get? What's the best a human life can be? You have to decide that for yourself. I can't tell you what trajectory your life should take. But I will tell you that if your life's trajectory is not based on a serious hierarchy of appropriate human values, it will not end happily because it can't. But if it is, the last day of your life will be as happy as any other. The last day of your life will be as happy as this one. So why not have that instead? Live deliberately, make your life a work of art, die in peace. Bless you. Thank you so much. Have a great Sunday.